cowboy like we all are. So I'm trying to
Well,
figure
I
some
have a
stuff
little
out.
trouble with the phone, so
I
uh,
I have a little trouble with a little bit of everything. It seems like. We'll I think we'll make it. How's the weather over your way?
well, it's beautiful today. It's been cloudy and misty and showering a little the last 2 or 3 days, just not enough to amount to anything. Half an inch and 3/10 and stuff, but it's beautiful today. There's got a south wind blowing. It's pretty good, but it's sun's shining, not a cloud in sight.
Oh, good. And you got all your calves branded?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we got through Brandon a day or two ago, and then had one day we gathered a big old pasture that we haven't got enough rain on, and it's overstocked, and we paired up 110 or 12 pair and put them in three different traps where we can just load one truck with the calves with the cows and send them up there, and they can get them mammied up a little easier. And we're gonna do that in the morning, and then I don't know what they got the next few days.
Well, I think about next Monday I'll be rolling through your part of the world, so just have to stop in and say hey.
Yeah, I think that I think I'll be where we can. There, I think some of the crew and they had wanted me to go to Dixon Creek. They're pulling the wagon out up there, but I told them I'd like to stay here on account I don't do good anymore in the teepee, and so I think that they're going to leave me here, and and I think the crew will probably pull out up there Sunday
Nice.
and go up. It's a 3 or 4 hour drive up there, and they'll be up there then a few days. And I'll just me and one man was going to just try to just hold this down, do some scouting around. We got a tank or two that might get bogey and some stuff like that.
I had a question when uh Brandon, do you bag or to cut the
No,
hair
we
off?
cut it off.
Yeah.
100% of the ranches in this country, big ranches, all cut it off and pull them out and cut them off.
Yeah, and you bag just
Yeah,
till.
we keep the ears on the heifers and the bags on the steers.
Mhm.
That gives us tally on the sex of the calves when we get through. And but we I've never seen anybody on one of these ranches split them, but I do know people does do that, and then we cut studs the same way.
Yeah.
Some people pull that bag out and cut it off. That's the way we do, and take them out of the same hole, and some of them split each nut and take it out separately.
Well, that just
On
seems like
colts.
that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they have I have better luck with them, or have my license cut it off and they drain better and it don't stop up as bad and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Worst is when you and then them and the bander don't know how to do it, and you end up with a nut or a 1.5 nut, and it's a mess.
Yeah, yeah, I just don't know anything at all about that, so
Well,
I
you're
wouldn't
better
know.
off, I can tell you that.
I have just heard of people, especially yearling people, doing that with big bunches of yearlings, putting them bands on there and stuff. But I, I've never had any experience doing it or anything.
Yeah, I think just a sharp knife and quick and knows what they're about the best way to go. Quick,
Yeah,
quick spread to let them be.
yeah. If you got something like that, we don't even put anything on them. We just cut it off and turn them loose.
Yep.
But we used to have a little trouble with screw worms, but we haven't had any screw worms since back in the '60s. So
I had a
we,
family was telling me about doctoring screw worms. That sounded like a pretty nasty deal.
well, it was a tough job. Everybody, even the little nester farmer that had 15 or 20 cows, he had to check them every day or so
Mm.
because they worms any place that's scraped or scratched or navels on calves. Cow have calves to get them in her uterus area, and
Oof.
bulls get them around the penis, and he's had to doctor them, catch and doctor them.
What doctor
We
them with?
used to, well, there's several things that they had, just like anything, and that we used stuff called Smear 62 and chloroform. We carry a little can of chloroform, and you fill that wormhole full of chloroform and stop it up, hold your hand over it or stuff a rag or two over the top of it, stop the air, and that'd kill them worms go to flying out of there with that chloroform. And then we'd put the Smear 62 as an old black tar stuff, and then there was a clear stuff they called EQ 335, I think. See, it's been 30 and 20, 50 years since we had worms in this country, so I don't remember a
Yeah.
whole lot. I remember, Doc, that's all we done
I bet.
in the summer months. I remember in '51 at the Matadors with Brandon Caves at Chuck Wagon and Brandon outside. We'd just round a bunch and brand and move tomorrow the next place and the next place. And the worms got so bad, we quit branding and went back and was making them same drives and would round that herd and doctor the worms out of them and just turn them loose. And because the worms was about the deer, everything got worms and died with them.
That's yeah. We never. I was running handicap deal. I had never doctored in my life. Uh, yeah, I never had worms. I guess once figured out ivermectin, that pretty well cured the worm.
Yeah, they eliminated the worms here in the '60s. I went to first one or two meetings they had in this country where they call a deal in the county seat and have a meeting that they was going to try to do that. They had to they had a plant going at missions and making sterilizing flies, and they had planes flying over and dump them sterile male flies, and they couldn't reproduce then, and that's what eliminated them.
Uh,
And but it was a tough deal, and then along the border they had trouble for several years after that because Mexico hadn't cleared up, and so they had to be careful of anything coming across.
yeah,
And but but it's one of the great, I think, things they've done in the ranching industry in my life. And the first meeting that they went to, I told them I thought it was impossible. I didn't think they could do it. And I, they, it was a 3 or 4 year fight, and everybody had to chip in to help pay for it. And then you had to get worms, after we was clearing it up, they had little packages you could keep, and you'd scrape some of them in that, ship it to them. They'd identify whether it was a screw worm or a magnet or something.
Uh,
And but they cleared them up. I hadn't even heard of one in 30 years or 40.
yeah,
And
I never heard. I guess you guys had to deal with blackleg too, didn't you?
well, we did way back there in a cave, and we would right now if
Yeah.
the calves weren't vaccinated. It's
Mm.
usually in the calves born in the spring. It'll be up in August, and they're full weights. And that's about when blackleg usually hit them, and you see some calves sick and dead, and man riding like on big ranches where it took us a while to brand, and we're working around taking 2 months. Brandon, a line camp rider, could tell you, he could say he found a dead one or two. You can identify them by, you can get off and rub your hand over one of them swelled up calves, and he'll kind of rattle like he's full of old wadded up newspapers.
Oh yeah.
That black leg affects them like that. But then you'd have to move over there right quick and vaccinate around that pasture and vaccinate it. See,
Yeah.
but and then when they first started vaccinating in the 40s for black leg, why brand inspectors in this country hauled that stuff in the back of their car, and they'd even some of the companies making it would furnish it. You give it to that old boy down there on the river if he'd vaccinate his calves, because they wasn't used to doing that and they didn't want to do it. But if they'd start vaccinating, well, and of course, they did. Now everybody universally in this country vaccinates their calves for blackleg in the spring.
Yeah, I think just about everybody does. We'd get a couple of those calves coming from a dairy that would make
Yeah.
get a daughter
Well,
something.
there's little fellers, these farmers in this country, that little farmer here that's raising hay, and he's got 20 cows. A lot of them don't vaccinate for them, but they sell them in the auction barn when they wean them. And if they lose one or two, they usually don't know what it was for or what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
I I had to cut one of them. Oh, it was a little heifer that just got missed, I think, when they vaccinated them, and their legs swelled up big, and then you'd cut in that meat. It was almost a dark purple color. It was boy, it was
I'll say, yeah, I I never had any experience with that, but I've seen a time or two. I've been where we had an outbreak of black leg. It's been several years, but we've on these big ranches things happen. We've had here a few years ago. We had some cows before we realized it got anaplasmosis,
oh
and we had to gather them and vaccinate for that. TNC, but uh, it evidently just come through the air because we don't put new cattle in or trader cattle or nothing coming or going. But this one pasture up here, we had some cows get sick before we realized what it was. And then one time there at Wagner's, when I was the ranch foreman, I had 200 herd bulls over there in a place, and that boy riding that country told me he'd found a dead bull or two. I told him, well, when you got 200 bulls, there's some of them going to die. But then a day or two later, he called me. He'd found two or three more. And I went up there and we got looking at it, and it's had anaplasmosis in them bulls.
hmm.
But I don't know. We don't do anything here now for it that I know of, but we haven't had any 10 or 15 years with it.
Huh. I've never is that.
Well, it's just a disease cattle get the breathing thing, and they get anemic. You can tell it the way you can usually tell in their noses are pink and their eyes are pink and they're not any color in their tongues and stuff, and they usually start getting poor, want to fight, and fight you if you're trying to do anything to them. And nearly any stress you put on them while they just get down and die. It's like rope one stretch him out and doctoring. A lot of times they'll die through the stress with it.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you what anaplasmosis is, but I know we've dealt with it a time or two.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting. Yeah, we had a set of uh uh they got diphtheria real bad. It was real nasty.
yeah,
Oh, you got one see that lungs
yeah,
start larynx all the way down into the lungs. Nasty stuff. And it didn't.
yeah. We vaccinate for that some here for
Mm-hmm.
kids,
Yeah.
and usually you got nowadays the vaccine. You'll have a 7-way or something with black leg
Yeah.
in that 7-way, and it's got all that other stuff in too. So
Yeah,
it,
it works pretty.
yeah, I've got to get my second COVID shot here in a couple of weeks.
Oh man.
I've I took one and then I had to wait so long. I got to look it up and see. I was supposed to wait. They give me a date that I could come back and get the other one. So
Oh good. Did
I,
it you didn't obviously tell you, so that's
yeah, the first one didn't. Hopefully,
not
yeah,
yet anyway, huh? I
yeah.
is your boys down there giving you a hard time for the vaccine or
Huh?
I said are they giving you a hard time for
Oh no,
um
most of the guys here went and got it, but we've got 2 or 3 that didn't and
mm,
said they wouldn't take it, and there wasn't any pressure on them to take it here. They
yeah.
just told it it's optional,
Yeah.
and we we've got a veterinary here, and he tells us all about all that stuff, and just like I had a girl that's cooking over here, and she told me, Boots, I wouldn't take that stuff. I seen a thing showed where 522 people died after taking it, and that vet told me to tell her there's 100,000 died without taking it. So
Yeah.
it's,
I don't know. I think it just
we
I
had a lot of the young guys that didn't take it here, don't want it, but you know I had the stuff last winter.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and then when I got over it, well, I had to wait 90 days from the day that they released it to take that first shot, and then I
Mm,
have to wait 30 days to take the second one.
I
But
see.
then they said from having it and then having both shots, I'd be pretty well immune to it.
Deductible.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I think the shot will eventually give us kind of herd immunity
Yeah,
to it. But
I think so. I get a chance here, and I'm young enough, and I'm not high risk. I figured somebody
yeah,
older, or poor condition myself probably needs more
yeah,
than I did. So I passed. I think if I get it, there's not much of a
yeah.
risk for me. So
We've got some young boys here that didn't take it, and in fact, they don't even hardly know much about it. You
yeah,
know that. never did give it much thought. And,
Yeah, it's
but
well, I'm glad probably.
yeah, it's good thing to get cleared up. It's killed over 1 million people in the United States, hadn't it?
I'm not sure how many it's killed here. I don't know. It's a bunch. I know that.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's been a bunch. I don't know, but
yeah.
so
Hard to say. I live too, so it's hard to tell
I,
what's going on the outside.
we're in a real remote area here, and we've just got 200 adults in this whole county. So we was really surprised. But where I got it, we had two intern girls from college come in here
Oh,
working at the horse facility, and they had it, and I got it through being over there around them. And that's what, because I hadn't even been to town in 2 or 3 months.
well, did you give
And
them a hard?
yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah, they kept them isolated here. They're both still over there at the horse clinic now, but of course they cleared up and are working every day now. But they had it when they come in from college, I think, and
Yeah.
they were working on equine degrees, and they can get further their degree here
Yeah.
at working for this veterinary here. He's set up with A&M where he had one boy graduated yesterday here from finishing up the course, and with couple of more weeks now, he'll get his veterinary degree and can go to practicing.
Well, that's good.
And yeah, they spend a lot of time fooling with them. But
Um,
yeah,
how how long were you married for, Boots? If you don't mind me asking.
how what?
How long were you married for?
44 years.
Oh, wow.
We were married and 44 years, and she passed away with a cancer here at the ranch. And uh, that's when I moved up here in the bone. We had a nice home here at the ranch, built us a big, nice place, and we lived there several years. And then after she passed away, well, they said if I'd move up here and fix me this apartment, well, they'd have that house for a family. And so we did, and that's the way I've been now. She's been gone 15 years now,
Okay.
and it's I'm still here, and the way I understand the ranch is sold. They called us together and told us that we're under contract, and it's not a legal deal yet. The people that signed the contract put up a big forfeit, and they've got so many days to back out and forfeit the forfeit, and and then it will belong to somebody else. And so we don't know what all they say. They're not going to make any changes, and they even told me indirect, because I figured they'd get rid of me at nearly 90. I can't do a hell of a lot, and still ride the whole time, but they told me kind of indirectly, I haven't received it officially, but that I could stay here and do what I was doing. Ann had told me that I could stay here the rest of my life, whether I worked or not. And they have kind of indicated, the people that bought it, that there wouldn't be no change in my situation. But time will tell.
Oh,
And I'm prepared to, if need to move in, well, I'll move in some of these little towns. And I'm in good shape financially if I have to go. And the ranch is, you know, has made me. I told Ann she'd made me rich, and she kind of laughed because she was thinking of her thoughts of rich and mine, you know.
Well, well, you might be the only cowboy ever to as a man strictly cowboying.
Yeah, yeah, I know it. They told me I haven't that they'd never had anybody on the payroll here that long. They also told me in 2013 I was inducted into the National Cowboy Hall of Fame, that I was the only big outfit straight cowboy that had lived in a wagon and caught horses out of a rope corral about half my life ever inducted. They've got ranchers and movie stars and rodeo hands, but that I was the only just straight big outfit cowboy ever inducted into the National Cowboy Hall of Fame. And so I've got my picture in the hall up there.
Well, that's pretty neat. You know, that's pretty neat. What would you say if you had to have done one entire life?
What, I didn't understand
So,
that.
like, if whether it be breaking colts or doctoring or branding, what would be the one thing you could do that every? What would that be?
Well, I've always said up until just this year, I've told my daughter one of my favorite times of year on a big cow outfit when we're branding, but
Mm,
uh, it's been harder on me this year to we get up earlier and catch horses in the dark and stuff that it's got harder for me to do, and I've went every day and enjoyed it, but I'm looking forward to when we get through and get back to where I'm just mostly prowling,
yeah.
riding country and stuff like that.
I saw a
But
video that put on the internet of you calves, and I gotta say, you still throw a pretty good loop.
uh, yeah, I haven't seen that. My daughter that watches that, and she told me that she saw me on Facebook dragging calves, but one guy here that I hired his daddy. He's about 40. I hired his daddy 35 years ago when he was 3 or 4 years old. And now he's top hand. But he told me one day, and I was roping over here, he said, "Well, you still got it, but I don't think so. I can't rope them calves running around me way out there at the end of a rope and stuff. I can't throw it that far."
Yeah.
And so, but I can just drag a few there, and I usually don't drag. If they say the boss here's real considerate of my deal, he'll just say, holler at me and say, "You want to rope a few?" And I say, "Yeah, I'll catch 10 or 12." Or I may just tell him, "No, I'll pass. It'd be harder for me to go get my horse and get on him than it is to stay here."
Yeah.
And but I went for years and years and years that drug calves day in, day out, for hours and hours. But uh, it's most cowboys, that's their favorite time of the year on a cow outfit
Oh
is
yeah.
branding.
Yeah.
And but I, I've always my taste. My wife always said I enjoyed it all. I just like they made a movie here. You may have seen it. I was in it quite a bit
Yeah.
several years ago. It's called Ride Around the World.
Oh, I haven't
It
seen
is
that
made
one.
for IMAX theaters,
Oh,
and you can get it online. Buy it. They've got them for sale here in the store. It's about an hour long, and what it done. It was a documentary, and they had a big film company, and they were trying to document when man first started getting paid for taking care of cattle horseback. And the earliest they could document it and prove it was 1,400 years ago in Morocco. They was paying men to ride a horse and take care of cattle, and they started it there. And then they come to South America and Argentina, filmed a bunch there, and then they come here. They stayed here 3 weeks, had 10 or 12 trailers, and had directors and sound people and all that. And
Huh.
then they left here and went to Canada and finished up. But that's all in the movie, and it's really, really good hour movie.
Well,
And it's showed in IMAX theaters.
I think I'll have to buy that one.
Yeah, it's just about $20, but it's a ride around the world. And it's got a picture of me on a horse on the front of the tape.
Look at you. You're regular.
Yeah, but they that guy was talking to me one day, and my wife, and he asked me what I done certain day or two ago or something, and I said, man, that was a tough day. We moved a bunch of bulls. It was real slow traveling, and it's spitting snow, and the wind was blowing, and it was a booger all evening. And before I could finish, she'd stand there and just cut it in and said, and he enjoyed every minute of it. But
Well, that's pretty neat. I'll looking forward to that. I saw the other documentary that you were in, that cowboy documentary. That was a good one too.
yeah,
And
this is really good. It shows a lot of sure enough work around and handling, moving and working, and they made it in 2006. They had we even shut down. They paid all of us cowboys $100 a day. I remember they paid me 1,800, so 100 a day for 18 days. They're just doing what we was just doing ranch work. I was surprised that they paid us because we was doing the same thing we'd been doing if they hadn't been here. And
hard to complain
but
about that, huh?
but they count 8 or 10 big trailers, and they had a cook and fed us. We even let the cook off, and we ate with them down there. They had a big mess tent where they cooked and fed, and we camped it right down here by the ranch. And made, but that is, you don't think about it, but that is 15 years ago.
Huh. That's man, that's pretty cool. Uh yeah, I'm gonna I
Yeah, I think you can. And that I don't know how to do it, but you can pull up on that. When I was inducted into the National Cowboy Hall of Fame, it is in 2013, and you can pull up Boots O'Neill on that. And I got an acceptance speech where I was up on stand, 400 people in there, and they awarded me with this bronze and told all that. Red Steagle introduced me, and then I had to make a little talk. It lasted a good little bit there about it, but that's when I was inducted into the National Cowboy Hall of Fame.
hmm.
And then 2 years ago, I've got them laying on the shelf in here. I was inducted in and listed in and it was a nationwide search. They just picked a cowboy to name is at the Golden Spur Awards in Lubbock at Texas Tech,
Hmm.
and they would award him a pair of spurs and have a ceremony. We had a dinner and a ceremony, and Red Steagle introduced me there, and got the for dedicating 60 years to punching cows. And So, and then in 2004, the Stanford Cowboy Reunion. It's a big, long time cowboy gathering, rodeo, and used to have several chuck wagons that go down there. We'd take one, camp there, and cowboys would rodeo and drink, party, and have fun 2 or 3 days. But they awarded me a bronze and had a dinner for me down there for dedicating a lifetime taking care of cattle a horseback. It says on that bronze.
That's pretty
But
cool. Are you are you teetotaler?
no, I just drink the beer with two of the boys. But I'm just a one beer man or a mixed drink guy. I don't get funny or nothing,
Well, yeah.
But
I what's your
I drank the beer with the wagon boss this sea when we come in here and we just sitting here at my apartment on the porch. I'm out on the porch now, just looking at the barn, and we sat here and drank the beer before he went home. But I may sit here for a month in a row and not do that, and then
yeah.
I may come in and have a mixed drink. I've got a nephew and a niece that work here at the ranch that are cowboys at the horse thing, and she's a ranch raised, and her dad was my brother Wes, and he run the wagon there at Wagner's for years and years, and she grew up under that. How she'll call me, ask me if I want to come down and have a drink, and we usually just sit out in the yard and have one mixed drink, and I come back home. But that's about the extent of it. I
Uh,
don't go anywhere. I haven't been anywhere in months.
I was asking because you're a beer. I'll bring a beer
All right.
for.
Well, I just got through drinking the Dos Equis, and that one of the boys brought me. I don't ever go anywhere. One of the bunkhouse boys went to town the other day, and he come back. He sent me a 6-pack here by the door of Dos Equis. I didn't ask him. Good. He just said he brought me one, and I had the wagon boss here a minute ago, and I told him let's drink one of them things. They're in the fridge in there, and so we did.
Well, there you go. All right. Well,
But
I'll bring you back of something.
we'll
We'll sit on the porch and
have
conversation.
have a little visit. That'll be the best, and then uh, appreciate you, and I hope that we can do what you want to do, and then
Nope,
uh,
it's we're good with this, and I'm glad that you're starting to. Maybe it feels like you and talking to me. I appreciate that, and I got to tell you, people love it. So I appreciate the hell.
I've been trying to think of a story or two, and I'll wait till you get here to tell you about uh, uh, back. I remember back in the '50s crossing the river wagons and team with horses
Oh
tied to the
man.
tongue and stuff like that to get up through the deep water. And I'll try to remember to tell when I was there and done it. So, you know, I tell people that when they want me to make a little talk around the country, that if I just talk about stuff like that, I don't have to make no notes or rehearse it because
Mm-hmm.
I was there, and it offends me. Just like when I told the boys about some fellas, and it was on a Red Steagle show, and about breaking them 4-year-old broncs and just 4-footing them, tying them down, putting a halter on them, let them up and saddle them, ride them. This
Mm-hmm.
guy knew me, and he told me, he said, Boots, I was in my truck driving and heard that on the radio. I really did enjoy it, but I wondered if you didn't embellish that a little. And that offended me because, and I don't even tell a lot of that stuff because people don't believe it now. They don't believe that we rode them broncs, 5 saddles, 2 in the corral and 3 outside, and there's 4-year-olds, and sent them to the wagon. Because most of them the guys now couldn't even have saddled one of them then.
Oh, I know it.
But that's what we got paid to do, and we done it 3 years in a row. Me and my brother broke 50 head every winter,
Mm-hmm.
and uh,
Well,
but
I believe I've heard I've heard those old stories. I've read a lot of myths and interviews with old cow hands. I love Charlie Russell and Teddy Blue
it
and
is just a lot different then, and we lived different, and the men was different, and
mm-hmm.
most of the guys on a lot of the camps was bachelors, because they wasn't fixed up, didn't have bathrooms, and had coal oil lamps and wood stoves, and they wasn't conducive to women. And the ones that did was pretty tough to stay out there. But now our camps they're they're 3 bedroom, 2 bath, central heat and air, and nice places. They're just way out in the country.
Yep.
And, but we'll talk to you later. Then I see a guy driving up here that's going to want me to tell him something.
All
So
right. Well, hey Boots, I sure appreciate your time. I really do, and I'm looking forward to shaking your hand on Monday. So we'll
all right, thank you, sir.
thank you. We'll see you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Oh man, and yeah, there we are. They just keep getting better, folks. I and anyhow, get y'all tuning. Tell a friend. Share the stuff if you like it. Share it. Really, kind of. I don't know everything. Really, the only way to around that is for any of it dating and really, really lucky to be. Many people really not any weird. That's anyways. I'll tune in. Anyway, your ass.